So we're going to go over the perspective tool. So you might have happened upon it by accident and had something like this show up on your page. Are you kidding me? There, like that. Okay. And you can't make it go away. So if I grab other tools or like I do some drawings on here, something funky might be happening. That's because you're in this perspective mode. The only way to make it go away is to select that perspective tool again and then X out of that, and then it goes away. This grid also, it won't print. It's just there for our design end of things. So when this would be good for if you're going to do like drawings of buildings, or if you need to draw objects in perspective. Perspective is when things that are closer are larger, things that are farther away are smaller. And so we have some adjustments that you can make to create this, this grid, which is going to help you draw into the scene that you want it to. And so all of these different, you just kind of have to play around with them until you get a feel for, what they all do for you. So if I'm going to do maybe like a longer building, I can move this whole thing around. I can adjust where my, vanishing points are going to be, how tall I want that to be, so forth. Okay, so at this point, now up here, these things matter. See how it changes? I have blue and that's my left grid. My left grid here is also coincidentally blue. When I change it to my right grid, this is orange. When I change it to the horizontal grid, that's that green section. That's like, think of that as the ground. And then you can even click where it says no active, and that's going to be your background. So what I mean by that is like now when I grab, say, my rectangle tool and I select it on that blue left grid, and if I draw this shape, you see how it's going to draw in that perspective, going back to this vanishing point that's right here. No matter how I draw this, it's going to go into that vanishing point. And so if I were to make that the side of the building, maybe I'd change that to be like the dark side of the building where like the shade is. Oh, see, I'm changing the outline of it, not the actual shade of it. There we go. Now, if I change my, I got to go back to my perspective tool to change my side over to the right grid. Now I can go over here and grab my tool and I can make that box. It's going to kind of automatically click to that grid there. Maybe now if I make that a lighter one, I'll push that color onto the fill as well. And so now I have my two sides, my building sides here. Now let's say that I wanted to go back to my left side and make a series of windows or something. Now I would, and like use these grids as guidelines for creating those windows. Maybe I'll make that be, oops, doing that thing again. Maybe something like that would look better. Maybe I'll make another row of windows. And then maybe right here I'll make my door. And then if I'm going to do something on the right side here, maybe I'll make a portal into no man's land. So circles will also draw it in perspective. You see how that's that altered circle? So even circles will do that. And now, let's use some of the things that we've done before. Let's create a gradient mesh. Let's have it go to the edge instead, maybe, or maybe I do want it to the center, and I can play around with that kind of stuff as well. So now if I were to grab this horizontal grid and say I wanted to do like a sidewalk or the ground, maybe it's on like a grassy area. This does get a little finicky. What it wants to do is it wants to snap to that like horizon line right there. So maybe instead I'll start to draw it from this way. It's going to draw this like super funky shape. It's because it's going out to that horizon line, and that's fine. Whatever goes beyond your canvas is not going to print anyways. So maybe now. So this might just take some playing around and getting used to. So now if that's on that side, maybe I'll keep that one brighter, change this one to the shady side, something like that. Now here's something that I notice. I really want to extend this to go off my page right there. But if I grab my selection tool and I think that it's going to just be able to extend it, you see how it's going? It's going to end up going on top of there. So here's a good reason for us to do the object arrange, send to back. Now that pink is up front. Now if, so I could do the same thing with this guy too. That's not a very good example. Let me just do it manually. And again, arrange, send to back. That looks much better. Ooh, I don't want to send to back. I just want to send backward. You see that what happened there?
Yeah.
And sometimes, okay, so you can go send backward like multiple times, or you can grab these items that you see are certainly in the front and arrange those and bring those to front, right? So think about your best case scenario for the less amount of clicks. Whoa. If I grab both those at the same time, they'll come up together, or they should. There we go. Now let's say that I'm going to draw a second building. I'd have that also be, let's make that a purple building. And then I grab my left grid, and I'd probably start here to grab that back part of the building, make that a darker color. And again, I'd want to send this backward. Now, I can't tell where it is on here, so instead, rather than trying to send it backward so many times, I'm just going to bring that up to front. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then if I select my no active, that's how I can get my horizon line back in there. Let's make it, maybe it's a dark and stormy day. Arrange, send to back. And then I can play around more with my colors and so forth. But now to make this go away, that grid go away, I go back to my perspective tool, and there, yeah, it does. It looks like kind of a surreal area. So this is a tool that, again, takes a little bit of getting used to, but it can be very helpful in creating these kind of interesting spaces. So why don't you take some time to play around with that?